I bought the most powerful and unique hunting arrows online. Today we'll test them on 2 targets to see their power in action. Here they all are, and these last 2 are the most powerful. Notice the blade size on this one and the mechanism on the other, which opens upon contact with the target. These 2 will be saved for the end of the video, so make sure you watch the whole video. But let's start with this one, which is an arrow with a really sharp tip and some wire teeth on the sides. Here, with a little spring that, when it comes into contact with the target, it acts like a barb, hooking onto the object. This will be the first one we're going to test. The first test uses a watermelon, allowing us to clearly observe the arrow's impact. Since watermelons are soft, the arrow will penetrate and remain inside. The marks of how the arrow went in. The arrow went through, its tip is still intact, but look at this, man. It went in and made a small hole, and you can see the side tears here from that wire that's on the arrow. And on the way out, the damage was much bigger, splitting the watermelon into much larger pieces. Look, that's really cool, but now let's see what it would do to a piece of pork. This time the arrow couldn't penetrate, but it did make a small hole in the center, and those side barbs only marked the skin, not managing to do much damage. No, honestly, I think this first arrow has a much more interesting idea than it actually is in practice. The next arrow looks extremely aggressive because it has a very sharp tip as well as some side blades, and on its body here there are some circular blades. It will cut into our target and destroy it. In this video, we'll analyze the damage each arrow causes, not their accuracy. That's why I'll shoot all the arrows from up close. Look here, it easily went through the watermelon again and only didn't go all the way through because the arrow stopped at this metal barrier. See here, the cuts made by that small circular saw, and notice the round notch. Check it out. On the back it's the same thing. It managed to go through the watermelon in the same shape as the arrow, and the back part made the same pattern too. Look, a central hole with 3 circles here on the side, looking like a clover. Really, exactly in the shape, exactly. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the damage it's going to do to the skin now. And just a reminder that all the tests we're going to do here with this pork are not meant to offend or encourage anyone. They're just scientific tests. We can examine what happens when an arrow contacts an animal's skin during a hunt. Also, remember, hunting is prohibited in Brazil. Only wild boars are allowed in some parts of Brazil. Still, don't try this at home. Seriously, don't. Clearly, it already made quite a mess on this side. Here the arrow didn't go through, but we can see the tear it made, just like with the watermelon making these circular cuts here. If we pull it, we could probably tear them off. See, a few small cuts appeared here and pieces of meat came off. It would have made a big mess. Now let's go to the next one, which is actually a bit similar to the last one, but the difference is that this one has a spiral blade here, not a circular blade like the other one. But its tip is very similar, so let's see the damage it's going to do. 3, 2, 1. This time the entry was really small and just made some spiral-shaped tears here, as you can see, and the exit here wasn't that big either. This is probably an arrow that cuts more than it tears and bursts things inside, so its damage was mostly from the cut itself. Now let's see on the skin. Whoa! This time the arrow went in completely, and you can see the little spiral cuts I told you about. Look how it made a tear here and a tear here, besides penetrating and almost going through all this skin, which by the way is really tough. So look, this little arrow here surprised me more than the others. The next arrow is one of the most interesting and hides a really cool secret, because look at its shape. It probably won't do anything interesting to the pork, but to the watermelon the damage will be huge because it's an impact arrow. As soon as it comes into contact with an object, it will cause an impact, and that impact will spread right after the contact. It'll likely cause some interesting damage, which we're about to test. 3, 2, 1. Wow! The watermelon was so soft that the damage was minor. The arrow hit and landed in a way that tore it up. But when it exited, the impact was stronger and made a slightly larger hole. Honestly, I thought it would be enough to make the watermelon explode. 2, 1... This is an impact arrow. The first shot just grazed here, tearing a small piece of skin, while the other hit here without causing a tear. But probably in this area of the animal it would be extremely painful and could possibly even have broken a bone from the impact. Because that's the purpose of this arrow. It's not meant to tear or lacerate like the others, but its main power is the impact. Unlike this arrow here, which is the second to last and one of the most destructive, and you'll understand why now. Look, this arrow stays closed like this, so when it's shot, it flies until it hits the target. When it hits the target, it has a system that pushes its tip forward, and these side blades open up, making the cut insane. Oh my God. This time I hit the watermelon right here. Look, just the tip made a nice cut on this side at the entry point, and it also managed to cut here. And all these shots we fired would probably have easily gone through the watermelon. That didn't happen exactly because of the barrier. Oh! The skin damage was severe. See this large cut? You can clearly see the blade shapes. One cut here, another there, and another here. This one didn't go in as deep, and on the second shot it was a bit weaker. It made a little hole, but it didn't tear. Man, but I'm impressed. Look at how much it cut in this part. With this, you can tell that these blades here are no joke. The thing really cuts a lot. And now let's go to the last and coolest part of the video, which you guys are dying with anticipation for. Look, the tip of this thing will probably tear everything apart because there are some giant spiral knives here. I'm curious to see what happens to the watermelon first. 3, 2, 1. It's kind of funny, Zanato's spirit. Look at the size of the damage at the entry point. It made a little hole in the center, and look at the sides here, see? Its destructive radius here is about 5 centimeters. Impressive. The damage was really big, and this is just at the entry point. Let's see the exit. At the exit, it didn't make such a big mess either. The purpose of this arrow is to cut through all the internal things. So probably if it had hit, I don't know, inside the stomach, it would have torn everything up, right? And a question, Mano, did this spin inside the watermelon, or is it just my impression? I think it did, right? We'd have to analyze it here. Look, the exit on this side has a blade here, and its entry doesn't. The entry doesn't. It's lower and the other is higher, so it likely goes in. Since it's spiral shaped, it spins inside, causing even worse skin damage. 1, 2, 2, 1. Oh my God, dear Lord. You could see it from far away, man. Look at the damage it did. I can't believe it. It didn't go all the way through, okay? But on the other hand, what happened here would have definitely taken down the animal. Man, there wouldn't be anything left, pretty much. It's already ready for the barbecue here. Look at this. Look at the cuts it made. And just so you know, this skin here is really, really tough, okay? It's very tough. Even a knife has trouble piercing it. Plus, there's a thick layer of fat before reaching the meat. Still, it cut right through. Cool, but I told you guys, right, that this one was the most aggressive and I was gonna save it for the end of the video, and I wasn't lying, man. This one actually surprised me because I didn't think it would do as much damage as it really did, but now I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Which arrowhead was your favorite? Which one did you like the most? Let me know here because I want to know, and don't forget to leave your like as well. It helps me a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. A hug to everyone. Thanks. See you. We're together, and bye.